Hello, Global Theater. My name is Jerry Fialka. Today is June 21, 2024. We want to thank Rob Grant and his amazing podcast, I'm Probably Wrong About Everything. Also want to thank James Joyce, who indirectly got me in touch with today's guest. Cami, your name is Kamila, and if you'd be so kind, Kamila, to pronounce your last name
Of
and
course,
where you're. Go ahead.
my last name is Abdrakhmanova.
And where are you calling from right now?
I'm calling from Turkey, Antalya.
How cool is that? You're the first person from Turkey I've ever interviewed in 40 years.
Really?
Yes,
That's so cool.
it is cool. So, Kami, what is the best thing for a human being?
The best thing for a human being, I think, is living your life and not just existing, but living it actively, like being there and like not postponing things, like I think, all do sometimes.
Yeah, it's very human not to live consciously. It's a great
Yeah.
answer. Very good. What's your favorite form of information, how it comes into you?
I think my favorite form of information is like through reading, like through books, especially. I've always liked books and I love to read. And I think reading it in paper is a lot better than reading it from the phone or from the any other screen.
Did you grow up a reader, one, because your parents told you to, two, they did it as an example, or three, on your own?
I think it's the second option because they did it themselves. They loved it, and I just saw it. Like they always uh, like helped me with that, and like kind of were happy if I read, but nobody like really told me to read all the time. I wanted it to do by myself because I saw it as an example, and I was also
Yeah,
interested in what it is and stuff like that.
beautiful. Why do
Thanks.
you think humans collect information?
I think it's because that's the way we pursue things. In order to understand them, we want to like collect as many facts and as many information as we can, and then like classify it into folders, and after that we can understand it. And as if we're not understanding it, it kind of scares us, so we try to understand things in order to be like at peace with them, or like to know what to do with them.
Do you think that need or want to collect information is more innate or more invented?
And more innate or more invented, like it's is it native or
Is it like in our DNA? Like
mhm.
we basically are probably innate to eat food, but
Yep.
we invented the
Okay.
ways we eat food, but we kind of have to eat food,
Hmm.
even though there are breatharians. So innate means it's hardwired, it's um,
Hmm. I got that.
in our
It's like
biology. It's
programmed in our
programmed.
heads, in our nature. Okay.
Yeah, in our nature. That's a better way. It's programmed in our nature, or did humans invent it?
I think it is programmed in our nature, but to a certain extent, and it's kind of changed throughout the times. If we should think about ancient times, people always try to understand how things work in order to, I don't know, to survive, to hunt, to use something that they saw in the nature. So I think it is programmed to a certain extent.
Do thoughts create emotions?
Yeah, I think they do. And
Yeah.
it works vice versa too.
Yeah. Fill in the blank. I don't know what I think until I.
I don't know what I think until uh, Most of the time, I think until I say it, or maybe until I write it. Not that I
Yeah.
write a lot, but until I say it, probably. Until I try to like uh, tell it to someone else.
Yeah, that's amazing because that's the two examples I give. McLuhan says, I don't know what I think until I say it. Joan Didion says, I don't know what I think until I write it.
It's like the way words are so like intertwined with thoughts, and we think in words like, right,
Well, that's the next question. Can humans think without language?
without language. I don't really know, to be honest, because when I think, I'm not sure if it's it in any language. Because, for example, I don't speak English that much in like normal life. I speak mostly Turkish, and with my family, I speak like Kazakh, or with my friends Russian. So it's kind of a lot going on in my head, and I like made a lot of mistakes, and it's always like messy because I don't. Uh, Sometimes I don't know how to change between the languages, so I got completely like confused. So I don't know if it's in any language right now. I think it could, but if you try to form a thought, like if you're trying to say it to someone else, it's got to be like in language.
So you grew up learning what language from your parents, and then you learned the two other languages in school, or how did you learn the three languages? One was taught by your parents, or two were, or all three were taught by your parents?
Two were taught by them like actively because I'm Kazakh and like my native language is Kazakh, but we also spoke Russian like in a household, and my parents use it all and me use it all the time. So I kind of like learned both. Even though Kazakh I learned more in a like kindergarten, but also with my parents, especially my mom. Russian was always there. Then English I started to learn it in started learning it in kindergarten, then in school, then I got like little lessons with my mom, and then I like continued on my own, like actively continued on my own beside the school. And then when I got to uni, I when I got to college, I learned Turkish in like a language class. So that's how it went.
So that's four language: Kazakh, Russian, English, and Turkish.
Right.
That's four languages you speak.
I wouldn't say I speak them because that's a
But
big of a
you get
mess.
them.
Like,
Yeah.
yes, kind of. Like I do speak
But
them. I
don't
just kind of frustrated by the fact that I like keep like messing it up and stuff like that. But yeah, you're right.
but it seems as though you speak English really well. For the people who you speak English with, you seem fluid. Do you watch American or English TV shows or movies or music that help you, or was it just talking with other people in English?
No, it wasn't that much of a talking. It was like I learned grammar and stuff like that in school, and the rest of it was, as you said, like movies and series and films and music and like social media and everything I liked, everything like my hobbies and stuff. I tried to learn about it in English, like surround myself with the English environment, even though I wasn't like in that environment myself. And then, like, there were friends that I talked English with, but most of the time, my social media is in English and stuff like that. That's how I try to like maintain the level and also like work on my speaking skills. I did work on my speaking skills for that though.
But do you find the friends you talk with in English, are they English or American? Are they English born people, or are they
No, they're
Kazakhstan,
not.
Russian, or Turkish?
Yeah, no, they're not like native speakers. They are like me most of the time.
Wow. Seems you talk English really well to me. So,
Thank you.
yeah, Chomsky says a language is not just words, it's a culture, a tradition, a unification of community, a whole history that creates what a community is. When language breaks down, what do? If whatever language, if you're talking to your mom in Kazakh, or you're talking to your dad in Russia, or you're talking to your friend in English, and language breaks down, what do you do?
I don't know. I guess I try to like explain something to them in a sign language, which is also a sort of language.
Yeah.
I don't know how people communicated without language. It seems so hard.
Yeah. Your observations of humans in general, are we more feeling beings or more thinking beings?
Um, I think we're more like feeling beings than a thinking beings because I think we feel more than we think, or like we do it naturally, and thinking sometimes it's like forced by yourself or by someone else. So I think we're more feeling, even though people use like, I think people think a lot, especially like with the all overthinking stuff. But no, but I think yeah, we're more feeling beings than thinking beings.
Two questions from Alan Turing from the 50s. One, is thinking a function of the soul?
I think thinking is a function of a mind more than a soul.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Second,
because
Turing. Oh, go ahead.
I think feeling is like more. It goes from the soul or
Feeling
from the
is
heart.
soul, thinking or the heart,
Yeah,
and thinking is the mind. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's like cliche. Maybe it's like sort of framed thinking that I do, but I think it's more this way than the other.
I like your word framed. It's framed. When you put the question in that terms, here's how most people respond. Is thinking a function of the soul? They go, depends on what you mean by the soul. And I'm like,
Yeah,
well, you know what I mean. We all know
right.
kind of what the soul, but then they go, well, I don't know. What is the soul? It's like, well,
It's like
what you said, soul seems more connected to the heart
yeah,
or feelings. The mind seems more connected to thought or thinking. But they're so interconnected that
yeah,
it's hard to separate them, you know.
right. It's hard to tell which is which, and
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to separate the soul from the heart. I think.
Yeah. Is the second Turing question is, can machines think?
Stink. In I wonder in what sense they can stink, but I guess they can
Yeah.
if they're working like not in a way you would like them to. You could say that they stink.
Yeah. Do you use
Besides,
AI? Go ahead.
besides the machine is kind of like an abstract thing, I guess. Machine could be like some type of organic stuff, or I don't know, something living, especially nowadays. So if it's something living, it could stink, I think.
Yeah. But do you use AI chat to help write your papers at all?
I use them to help me translate it, when
Trans
yep, we did an interview about James Joyce and your book club. And then I kind of wrote it down, everything. And then some of the things I like used AI, and then I like corrected it myself. But I don't use
it,
it for like to write for me.
right. But is it still in the formative stage in your college classes, or do they go, you cannot use AI, or they go ahead, use it, it's a tool?
They said not to use it in their in the papers or in assignments because we're writing news most of the time. So they always say don't use AI for that, for the land reasons, to use it to um, help you with that, to find something else, to find other people to talk to, and something like that. Don't use it to write for you. And
Yeah.
we have one teacher, one that's wrote an article about AI and its usage in media and stuff. And also we had a symposium kind of thing, a big thing about AI and how it is used in media and journalism. So
Wow.
they're not against it at all,
Yeah.
totally. They're not. Most of them are use it, but use it as a tool, not as um, as a replacement for your work.
Very good. Do you more pursue happiness or more pursue meaning?
I think happiness, because meanings are just, you can give anything whatever meaning you want, I think. And the happiness is a more important thing for me than a meaning, because when you think about it, everything has a meaning and it has a lot of it. And from a different point of view, nothing has meaning. So it's kind of confusing. So the same thing could be said about happiness too, because it's really abstract and it differs from person to person and stuff like that. But for me personally, I think I'm pursuing happiness and not the meaning, because I think it's actually no meaning at all from one perspective.
Yeah. I
But
got it
do you,
from Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was
No.
wondering what you think about that. Are you more
Well, I was going to
pursuing
say
happiness?
Viktor Frankl's book called Man's Search for Meaning says happiness doesn't tend to last, meaning tends to last longer. That doesn't mean you should pursue one or the other. I mean, how
Yeah,
you explained it was good because both of them can be vague and forever changing.
yeah,
But it doesn't mean if one lasts longer than the other. A couple people have changed the word happiness to joy. And they say,
mm,
well, happiness is different. Joy tends to last. Happiness doesn't necessarily last. But
the thing about
if me and you share ice cream, together and we're happy,
yeah,
tastes good, and we're laughing, the ice cream's going to end, and then we're going to end our time together. But
mm,
that doesn't mean the meaning from our time together, happy joy, might last our entire lifetime. But,
yeah, okay,
again, it's trying to distinguish what words mean. And words are deceiving and can be interpreted many ways as well.
yeah, that is right. We're coming back to Joyce, I think. Wherever we are, we're coming back to Joyce always.
That
Or
is great.
by Joyce, I mean especially Finnegan's Wake.
Yeah, especially Finnegan's Wake, because the word Joyce has the word joy in it.
Yeah, it
Joy.
does. I wonder if if it's a coincidence.
The
Coincidence.
coincidence, yeah. Well, listen, we're going to get into Joyce, but let's do a few more.
All
Does
right.
the brain more detect consciousness or create consciousness? Like, is consciousness there bubbling away and we're more so detecting it or more so creating it?
I think we're creating it because, if when we're sleeping, I think we're not creating consciousness, so we're sleeping and unconscious. But I think more creating it, because detecting is I don't know if you can detect it. You probably can, but I think creating is more of a word. Detecting it, I feel like it should be something in others, not in yourself, to detect it. So I think more creating, but I'm not sure like how it seems to me right now. It may change.
You're really smart, and I appreciate it. You're concise, and I'm still amazed how well you
Thank
are
you.
with English words. You're really communicating well. Because we spent
Thank you so
90
much.
minutes. We already spent 90 minutes together once before, and often I never spend any time with someone before the podcast. In this
Is
case,
that so?
we had a good 90-minute session together, and
Yeah,
now this is like,
and here's
yeah,
the result of it.
there's the result. Put it closer to the camera just for a second. Yeah, so that is amazing. So that is in the Turkish language?
Yes, it is in Turkish, and it's a whole page of our paper.
Yeah. And that's the student paper or the city
That
paper?
that is our university's paper. So our
Uni
faculty's paper. Yep. I'm actually
What
sending it for a competition we have in the news. So I'm
good.
sending it, and I am hoping maybe we get something. We will get somewhere with it. Even if not,
Yeah.
I'm really happy I did that.
Yeah.
It is my favorite article I've wrote so far.
Did your teacher praise it?
Yeah, he did. They liked it. Also, my like fellows, classmates from the news agency we have in the university, they liked it a lot too. I spoke with two teachers about it. The one that helped me write it, like a few things, and the other one like was the last person to correct it. He did correct some things, but not too much, because we're still
Beautiful.
learning, and they help us with that.
So good. I'm so happy and so lucky
Me
that
too.
you came along. So,
Oh, I'm lucky too.
and the root of it was that you read the Guardian article.
Oh, yep, I did.
You read the Guardian article and said, "Oh," and then you told your teacher, "Could I do this for our paper?" And he said, "Yes."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, it started when my friend sent me an Instagram post, like a publication about your book club. I think it was from The Guardian, or maybe it was actually in some. I don't know if it was in English though, because I don't remember quite mm,
Right.
in detail. She sent me that, and then I got interested. She didn't send me for me to to write about it. She just sent me that because I think she thought I might like it. And then I looked up the Guardian article and the other ones, and then I spoke to my teacher, and she said that I should contact you.
Beautiful. Again, we'll get into more Joyce, but let's do a few
Okay.
more. What's faster, speed of light or speed of thought?
I think the speed of light is faster than thought because I don't know. I think it's like I think too much of myself and of people in general if I said that we think a lot faster than the light works. I don't know the actual numbers if they are any about like they are numbers if we're speaking about the uh, about light. I'm not sure if it's any numbers like any statistics at all about the speed of thought. Probably there is, right?
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. I don't know the numbers either, but it's sort of like metaphorically and literally because
Yeah,
you can't really put numbers to the speed of thought, but you can to the speed of light. But then
yeah,
again, how accurate are the numbers? You know,
that is
because
right.
numbers are made up too. Physics and
Actually,
science are made up too,
yeah,
but
and
we want to think it's proven. But
it is
here's
actually.
another.
I'm
Go ahead.
sorry. Uh, Actually, our teachers like used to tell us that numbers are the things that is used a lot and is the most effective way to actually tell people not the truth and make them believe it is the truth. Because if
Oh,
you put in the news, especially because in the news, when we're given statistics, we think that it is like 100% right, which is most, like, I wouldn't say most of the time, but which is not the case always. Like, it is actually the most effective thing, the most effective way to
You
make
just
people
go,
believe in
"Oh,
anything.
the polls say this," and then they go, "Oh,
Yeah,
well, that must be true." Well, polls are so deceiving
yeah,
because it's what they wanna prove is what
yep,
starts, and then they go, "Okay, let's prove it," and they go, "Okay, we got these statistics."
yeah.
Yeah,
They can actually design it in a way that shows what they want to prove, which may not be even true. Like, the design may be very wrong. The
that's
numbers
why
could be wrong too.
that's why, Thelonious Monk, the jazz musician, said that music is math, which is funny because in essence, you can write down these
Yeah,
little dots and that's music, but music is the most abstract, the opposite of math. It's
yeah.
not really math, but we can say, "Oh, music is math because here's the notes, play these notes," you know?
Actually, that made me think about the book that I'm reading. It's I don't know if it's Perfume, I think, or maybe Perfume, the Story of a Murderer. And it says the main character there, at some point in the book, he learned to write a formula for the perfume, and made me think of that. Like, the
Yeah.
perfume, the scent could be written in a formula.
In a formula. Is that
Like,
fiction or nonfiction book?
that's a fiction. Like, I knew that perfume scents like chemically could be wrote in a formula, but it kind of put it in different perspective. It is a fiction, yeah.
Yeah, because how does each person describe what a smell is?
Yeah, it's very
That
different for
that's
everyone.
it's different for everyone. But then
And
once
it's
we go, "Oh, that's a citrus smell," then
yeah,
everybody goes, "That's citrus." So then we
that is
sort
right.
of find a commonality in the word,
I think
but
so, yeah.
there's ambiguous and there's a lot of leeway in between.
Right. And the same scent could be very different on like different people because of the
Yeah.
scent the people have like, themselves.
There's an amazing thing in a McLuhan book. He said, "There's some culture, I don't know what culture it is, in the way you say hello to the other person is by smelling them." So you
Yeah,
go up to someone and you smell their body odor, that's how you say hello to them.
really. That's
That
makes
is
I think that makes
it's
a lot of sense
yeah,
because that's something. I think that is the way of to get information without like in a very like natural way without.
yeah,
And I think we get that information, but we feel something, but we don't know what it is. Like, we don't get wordable information from that. We do get
yeah,
like some perception of the human that's in front of us.
yeah. Um, Audre Lorde, the poet, said, "You can't dismantle the master's house using the master's tools." Yvonne Rainer, her colleague, said, "You can if you expose the tools." What new tool do you suggest?
What new tools do I suggest?
Yeah, one new tool that you suggest, or what tool do you most gravitate towards?
And by tool, do you mean like technology or not
It can
necessarily?
be it can be tangible or non-tangible. It can
It,
be an idea or it can be a tangible tool.
I
Either
think that
one.
I think that a good tool um, to understand something completely in order to like to do something with it is a critical thinking, I guess.
Yeah,
Like not it's actually, I think, a big thing in journalism, like not to believe everything you see and everything you hear and everything someone says, because you actually have to like fact check it and like learn about it, read about it yourself
Yeah.
in order to say yes, that's the way it is. Because I think media especially kind of lies to us all the time, and it's showing the things that they want us to show and all of that, and we're really like into the thing, like we're all using social media, we're all watching news, whether we want it or not, whether like you do it actively or you're not. Like if you're not watching news or like using social media, your friends or your parents or your like people around you do, and it comes to you like in any, like in some sort or another. So I think critical thinking is like a good tool to anything, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like not believing, like not like taking a thing as it seems, like as it is.
Yeah. They sometimes call it skeptical, being skeptical, or just
Yeah.
being aware, being aware. But Kamila, where did you get that from? The way your parents raised you or on your own to
Uh,
be a critical thinker?
well, I think it's both actually. I was like always a curious child, like a very curious kid. I used to ask a lot of questions, and thanks for my mom, she answered all of them. Was any time of the day, any question at all. And I think I really like mm, I liked a lot of things, and I was curious about a lot of things. So it might seem that I was on the top of the thing, not really getting to the point, to the actual like knowledge, to the actual thing, like a bit from everywhere, but not like something major in one field. But I think it come from like there could be mistakes everywhere even in a book. There could be like a little mistake in the book, and you could like get it wrong from even from the book, like from the source of knowledge. Besides, books are written by people, so it is like we don't know for sure if it's right or not, as you said. Everything it's written, especially like history that is written by people. And I think, I don't know, I just tend to not believe people like a lot. Not that I don't believe it or don't trust them. Even in friendships, for example, I don't like, I always like leave an open space because I don't know what that person is like, and what they can do, and what they think, and whether they're lying or whether they're like telling the truth, or whether they are telling like something they believe in, which is not the truth. I don't know. It's just the way I think. Um, it hasn't been taught to me like directly. I think I saw it in the way my parents act, or how they handle the situations, or like how they go through life. And I think it's kind of like a part of my character to be this way. I don't know if I was born that way, or did I like developed it somewhere along the journey. I think it's both. It could be both.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really well put because Picasso said art is a lie that tells the truth. So that's, lying sounds malicious, but you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
hey, people are struggling because everything's changing all the time. In fact, I asked my mother years ago, can I interview you? And she said, yes, but everything I say today, I might say differently tomorrow. And I
That
said,
is
that's
fun.
okay.
Yeah.
And that I said, that's okay. I'm not going to hold you to it.
Yeah, because
And
we like it
yeah,
changes a lot. It could change a lot.
it can change within minutes or it can change within a year or any time.
Mm.
And it's what you're saying is critical thinking is not, and being skeptical is not a saying you don't believe your friends. It's that,
Mm.
if they say they love you, you go, well, yeah, thank you. But you're not going to go, I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't think so. You don't. I think it's not being skeptical. I think it's like more being open-minded enough to.
Open-minded. Yeah.
It could
It's
be
a better way.
skeptical, like it
Yeah.
could be. I think that's the two sides to everything to a coin. Where from this
Yeah.
side it is like being critical thinking and being open-minded, and from this side it could be like skeptical and trust issues or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Really good. And Camilla, what new toy do you suggest?
Toy,
Yeah, TOY, toy, as opposed to
toy,
a tool. As
as
opposed
opposed
to a
to toy.
tool, what's a toy you gravitate towards?
I think it could be anything, to be honest. Just something that could keep children from the screens, because I think it's a really, I think it's a really bad influence. Because when I like think about my childhood, we used to play it. I'm probably like getting older because I feel like I'm saying all the things my parents or like the older people used to say, and I was really like, what are you even saying? Like, how is this? How was this possible? Like, it's very different now. I catch myself saying the same things and feeling the same. Um, I like we used to play outside, and like we used to play. We used to be in an actual world, and the children nowadays is like I get why they do that because everyone is in like always like on their screens or using telephones all the time, 24/7. So they see it and they do the same thing. It is actually easier to live in the world of like technology than it is in the real life. But the thing is, when you do something in real life, it actually have has some like meaning to that. It may change something. But when you're actually like only in the technology world, I think not much changes. It is not like for all of the things, but most of the time when you're not like working on like the times I don't know when people got really successful using the technology only and always being on their phone and stuff like that. So I think any toy could be like a book could be a
Yeah.
toy probably, or like anything to be honest. Besides, I
Yeah.
think uh, like toys really brought me to kids, which is not really necessarily, but I think kids like to play with the things that adults use more than they like to play with toys. Like they
Yeah.
want to use with the kitchen tools, or like I don't know, something like maybe even like food or anything adults used to do because they see it as a something cool, like as a cool thing that they can do because they're little and they want to grow up. So
Amazing. Really well put. But, was
thank
there
you.
an age that you were allowed to start using screens? Like, did your parents keep you from screens for a certain time, or did they let you just dive in right young?
Well, I think I got my like first telephone when I was in a primary school when I was like maybe not in first grade. I remember having it in sixth grade for sure. Before that, I think uh, I used like a telephone that was home a lot to talk with my friends and stuff, and I used a computer for everything. I remember also we were doing a project in the first grade, and I used computer with my mom to do the actual work, not only playing it. I used to play on the computer like different games and stuff, but our computer I think was maybe old, maybe it was about the Wi-Fi thing, but it didn't work that well. So even if I did want to play a lot, sometimes I could, sometimes I couldn't. They never like they never said to me like you can't use the technology, you can't use your phone. They just wanted me to do it like in a way without hurting myself, like with my eyes or like my head or something. There was always a like certain rules about using like television, phones, and stuff like that. But apart from that, I wasn't like restricted. It wasn't like restricted or something like that. I always had
Yeah.
like I could use it. But I think it's
What do
important to
you?
have certain rules, especially with little kids.
Yeah. What do you worry about when you go to bed at night?
To be honest, everything. It could be something about the future. It could be something like embarrassing from the past. It could be something like very. I used to forget things a lot, and when I'm like remembering it, I write it because I think that in the past I thought that I'd remember that easily, but then I forget. So I usually sometimes I think about the things that sometimes it just bugs you because you think you forgot it, like you forgot something, but you can't remember what it is. So it differs. So it's like from time to time, from day to day, or
I
sometimes. Mm,
I keep a pad of paper next to me in bed, so if I remember something, I try to scribble it down. The problem is my handwriting's gotten worse, and in the middle of the night, and then I wake up and I go, "What does that say?"
yeah, that is actually quite right because I sometimes I like to like write in paper, but most of the time you said you keep like a notepad. I usually write
Yeah,
in my phone, like in the notes or like somewhere like I'm messaging myself about something. But when I write notes for my classes and stuff like that, sometimes I write them, but then I can't really read them. Or like someone asks me for notes, and I'm like, if you can't read it, you can have it because I can. Like I wrote it, but I can't even use it.
wow. But did most of your peers and you developed good writing skills, or you developed more typing skills?
No, I write kind of in cursive. Like I don't
Yeah,
write in like type uh, letters. I write in cursive. I sometimes I write really messy, so I can figure it out. But to in order to like prepare for my exam, I need something that is more clear for me to because
yeah,
it's already difficult to like
yeah,
comprehend this stuff, and it's badly written or like not clearly enough written. It is like a lot different. Like it's a lot difficult. So I kind of write in cursive, and my friends, like my classmates, don't really get it, but my friends kind of do.
yeah. Well, McLuhan learned from the poet Ezra Pound that artists are the antenna of the race. They're broadcasting and detecting the hidden psychic effects of our inventions, so we might learn how to cope with what we don't like about our inventions. So even the artists could include journalists. Journalists are broadcasting and detecting these hidden psychic effects of all these inventions we have, from spoken word, printed word, to chat box, to bulldozers, to pencils. All these inventions have these hidden psychic effects. But McLuhan's main probe his whole career was, why do we ignore these hidden psychic effects, even though they're being broadcast to us?
I think it's because it's out of the system. It's like outside of the system. So, and I think everyone, even the artists, are like inside the system because we live that way, and you can be free and you can be out of the frames that they like society puts you in, or like I don't
Yeah.
know, whoever it is who puts you in it. But to a certain extent I think they're free, and I think they're out of the like set frames, but not like completely. They're not like away from it completely.
Yeah.
So I think we ignore it because it's like hard to accept it. I think it
Yeah.
needs like if you like start paying attention to that, there's a whole awakening that it's like gonna come, and it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of like every like your values or your the way of thinking or even the way of your living, it's gonna like change, or it's gonna uh, change in ways that you may not like, because the change, even the positive change, is kind of it can be like destructive, I think, because the progress is always like showed. It's always like as something good, as usually it shows only the good side of it, good sides of the progress. But I think the main side of it is really like ugly, and it's like destructive, and it's really hurtful, like period of
It's
time
hard
to
to get the
progress.
big, yeah, to get the big
Yeah,
picture, because we go,
yeah,
oh, we love our cell phones. We don't want to
yeah,
admit what we
right,
don't like about a cell phone. We just say, oh, I love it. I know it. I shouldn't have
yeah,
it in bed with me, but I'll have it anyway.
right. Because it
But
opens doors to something that it's really like hard, and it's really uh, it needs a lot of work. It takes a lot of like it takes a lot of work and like effort, and we're just not ready to do it, to deal with it
yeah,
maybe.
you've brought up the word frame several times, and I'm really impressed because if you haven't read it, you should check out a book by George Lakoff, neuroscientist.
Hmm.
It's called Metaphors We Live By.
Metaphors we
L-A
live by.
Yeah, Metaphors We Live By, Lakoff, George Lakoff.
Okay, I got it. I
Yeah, it's
I wrote
framing,
it
which
down. I
yeah.
wrote it down because I will
Yeah,
forget it.
your use of the word framing is important. It's putting it they in a lot of ways they say, "Oh, put it into context." You know.
Right.
And
Because
that's what McLuhan's about, is put it into the environment that it creates.
yeah, actually, there's a little story behind it. I tried to like to look through the questions a bit, so that I have a like, so I wouldn't like stare point blank at you thinking of an answer. I looked at
Yeah.
it a bit, and then I was like, what do I think of it? I try not to look too much into it, and
Yeah.
even not to like watch another interviews, because I might like something and I might say it, and I
Yeah.
didn't want to like, I
Yeah.
wanted to give like my personal answers to that, and I was trying to think how to say that we're like, when there's a painting and there's like a little thing around it. I don't know
Yeah.
what it's called. Like I forgot the translation of it. Like the I don't know
Hey.
what it is called.
Well,
Right,
it's
this
called
frame or something like that. And I translated it, and it translated as a framed. And I thought that is a good word for that. I think that is what I'm trying to say.
yeah.
And it's actually I used to draw a lot. I used to like finish in art school. So the thing about art, the thing you said about art, that it lies to us.
The
uh,
Picasso quote is,
Right,
art
right,
is a lie that tells the
right.
truth. Yeah.
And I read somewhere that art uh, is just something that like makes us feel something, and it is enough in order
Yeah.
to be an art, and it is enough to make any person like feel something. It is always art. And also there's things about journalism. I forgot who said that, and it's not the direct, maybe not so right translation, but they say that journalism like brings peace to the ones that are like worry, and it wakes the people who are like ignorant,
Yeah. It's
like
good.
the two function of it.
Yeah, the function is really good. And you know, Camilla, it really boils down to the symbolist, the French poets who learned from Edgar Allan Poe. Don't paint the painting, paint the effect you want the painting to have. So you might have to be talented at drawing your little drawing or typing your article as a journalist. But what is the effect you want to have? And that's what they got from Edgar Allan Poe, because Edgar Allan Poe invented the detective novel. So he only gave you some of the details
Yeah.
and he left some open so you could guess. Oh, I know what I think I know what's going to
Yeah.
happen. So then it involves you, which is a feeling. You're being part of the process.
Yeah, that is beautiful.
Yeah.
But the thing is that you try to paint an effect you want your painting to have is a bit. I think it's actually like impossibly hard. Not impossibly, but really hard because everyone has different thoughts and different reactions to anything we see.
Yeah, you might like it's
Yeah.
John Waters is a famous American movie director. And he grew up like me with the main movie we saw growing up was The Wizard of Oz. And it has a wicked witch
Yeah.
and it has a good witch. Most of us, everybody rooted for the good witch, but he rooted for the wicked witch. So was that bad? Not necessarily, but you don't want to, promote negative, but
Yeah, that is
he
right.
he did. And so that's what you're saying. Even though the point of the movie wasn't to promote negative, bad, he had a different awareness to the story.
Yeah.
So that again is the user is the content, as McLuhan would say. The user is the content, you
He
know.
just he painted a bigger picture, but he had a preference in it. But he didn't like necessarily show it to people. He just had it for as a person.
Yeah. So do artists have moral obligation?
Uh, Moral obligation. I think it's really about every human. Like you live your life and then you say, I'm not like, mm, I'm not obligated to like meet someone's expectations of me, whether it's your like teachers, parents, I don't know, the even the situations you put yourself into. Like then you get tired of it and you say like, I'm not like, I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
And you don't want to like you'd get tired of everyone else's expectations and even your own, I think, which may be like a lot bigger problem than it could seem. So I think there's it is like an open question for everyone, not just artists. I think it's about what artists want to like, I don't know, what message they want to give and what like genre they're in. I think everyone kind of has because you have that like um, I don't know, self responsibility. I don't know, like because I don't know, you're just uh, there's a lot of responsibility. I think for the way you act, for the things you say, for what like you give people and what you like and what they do in return. I don't know. So because artists like may have a bigger audience than any other like uh, person could, in that sense they might have like a moral obligation to speak about the things that should be spoken or like to show things that should be showed or bringing up something that uh, is like that wants to be like ignored by everybody else but really should be the problem or the topic of the conversation.
Yeah.
So in a way that they have certain obligations, but I think so do any other people, any other person. Besides, artists are like very. You don't like that question, I guess. You don't like that phrase, I guess. But like, what you define by artists? Because I've read something that said even if you're not like publishing your paintings, you are like an artist. If you're not publishing your work, if it's like in secret, if it's like personal, if it's only for yourself, you're still an artist. Like even if it's not open
Yeah.
for everybody else to see. So if we think in that way, so everybody's kind of artist. So because I think everybody's producing something like kind of art. It could be anything, even like food or like I don't know, anything you do.
Yeah.
So everyone's artist and everyone has a moral obligation as a human being.
Yeah. Kamila, you're really wise. That's there's a really important artist that I love to study, and you should look at his work. Joseph Beuys, B
Joseph.
E Beuy's, Boys. And he had a great quote. He said, "Everyone's an artist," you know. And like you
Um,
said, even if you're a garbage collector, you can do
right.
your art, you can do your service for humanity with the feeling of an artist. Or McLuhan's favorite line is, "The Balinese have no word for art. They do everything as well as they can."
Yeah, that is a good point.
It
Um,
is. Yeah.
I wrote down his the artist's name so that I can look at it
Check
after.
check it out. Check him out. Yeah, he's very interesting. And so, are you more afraid of new ideas or more afraid of old ideas?
The new ideas or old ideas. But it can be the same thing though. Like a new idea could be something that is like an old idea.
Yeah.
I'm more afraid of how people can be absolutely like uh, can I'm more afraid in a way that people can disappear inside of an idea than the idea itself, I think. But
Yeah.
that doesn't really answer your question. I get that.
No, that's
I
fine. You don't have to answer the questions. What it is the questions are just prompts, because you know uh a lot of times new ideas are just old ideas in disguise. They're
yeah
just the same thing. But it really comes around to the word fear. Are you more afraid? And a lot of times people go, "Well, I'm not afraid of ideas." But we get stuck in our ways. Like there's certain things, the way your parents raised you, like you were saying earlier, and now you're seeing your parents in yourself.
right yeah
Yeah, and
because
it's like,
I can
are you afraid of that, or are you rejoicing? You know?
I think when you get older, you start to understand your parents as humans, not as your
Yeah,
mom and as your dad. You see them as just like
yeah,
someone who's living their life for the first time, just like you do.
yep,
And I think it's all circular. Like it all comes like in a circle, like in a same thing, right? Because even like the fashion and the music, everything comes back, and like we are in the place when our parents mine didn't really say that, but I think a lot of parents said that when you get older you'll understand, or like when you have a kid you'll understand.
yeah,
And I think it's really like pisses the children off because they want to know right now and then, and they don't get that like um but I think kind of true. Like when you experience the thing, not the same thing because it's not possible, I think, but the like similar thing, you get an understanding that's like not really, may not be like wordable or may not be like put into words, but you just get that.
yeah,
And I'm actually like sometimes I think I'm not like I'm just catching myself doing that. I feel that I am like getting older and I'm like kind of an adult, I guess. I'm 22, but I don't. But sometimes you just feel like you're a little kid because I thought when I was a kid, I thought adults like knew what to do and they like had their life together and stuff like that. But and when I was like a bit younger, like a few years before, I thought, so I'm not an adult. I think like I'm still right there. And now I'm starting to understand that maybe adults don't know what they're doing and what they want and what they will do, and they don't have their life together as it might seem sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, the beauty of life is to retain through your whole life your child innocence. That
Yeah, we keep.
you can be
Yeah,
free to just be instead of doing all the time. Kids don't do, they're just being. And that's
yeah,
really the
yeah,
way to be. But it's
and
hard because then they'll say, "Hey, you got to get a job and pay for your food and your house."
right,
You know,
yeah,
so how do you get a job? Oh, can't you just give me money? You're
right.
my
That is,
source. That's my
and
joke. I've told for years is the kid goes up to the parent and goes, "Are you absolutely sure you won't support me for the rest of my life?"
right,
Now,
because
most parents my age laugh. Parents who are your age, they don't laugh. They go, "That's not funny," because my kid doesn't want to learn how to be responsible.
yeah, that is right. Because they want to be like adults to do all the things they think are so amazing, and they like are not allowed to do it. But they don't
Yeah,
want the responsibility and the actual work that comes with it. And I think the thing about kids is like if they're like in a good condition, like in a good um, like if they have a family, if they have a house, if they like have what it needs to live, like the minimal things, not the minimal, but like uh, all the things you need to live a comfortable life, like I don't know if it's not a standard, but if they're like a normal kid in a normal life, I'd say, uh, they're happy to be. I think adults are not happy to be. They need a lot to be happy, to feel happy. Because I saw a social media video about the fact that the angry woman that it's like making dinner the night before the day and like always like angry at everything. It's not you anymore. It's not your mother anymore. It's you. And I thought it kind of is true. And I think the way moms were like get angry at kids when they didn't like put the kitchen out of the freezer when they come from work to cook it. I understand that now. Like I might not understand it like when I was a kid, but I do understand it now.
yeah. And kids who are born into rich families, they're spoiled brats. It's not their fault. They didn't sign
Yeah,
up to be and so that
right.
it's more of a burden. It's more like they have to learn how to deal with not being served everything all the time whenever they want it.
It's
There's some it's almost more difficult, but everybody's equal. Even the poorest kid in the world has to learn how to deal with what you're saying, framing and the environment and the context of how they were
yeah,
raised and try their best to be kind, you know.
yeah. Because we don't choose the family we're born into, or
Yeah.
I don't know, a place we're born into. So it's something
Yeah.
you can choose. So it's not your fault. I think when
Yeah.
you're a kid, it's really like most of the time it's really not your fault. But as soon as you become an adult, you're an adult now. You could have worked on it.
Yep.
It's not about every situation. It's like there's always an exceptions for like for everything. But I think when
Yep.
you're an adult, you gotta like take responsibility. Uh, you can do that before, but not too early because it's hard for a child to bear a lot of responsibilities, and they shouldn't until maybe a certain age or a certain like time in their life. But when you're an adult, I think you try to be responsible for yourself, and there's kind of no one to blame, and because you can, it's your life, it's your like I don't know anything that you're struggling with, it's yours, and you're the only one who can do something with it, or like help yourself, or like grow. I don't know, heal.
Yeah.
Because even if people want to help you or like anything else, you may not accept it because you're not ready, or maybe because you're the only one who can do that.
Yeah. It's back to the other word you use, awareness. It's the awareness level, how much you're going to be
Yeah,
aware. And I would say one thing both of us can be aware of is that we were fortunate to have good parents who
yeah,
provided for us and enabled us to learn how to say things like this.
right.
Not everybody is raised are raised with parents that help them learn how to be articulate and think on their
Right.
own a little.
I appreciate my parents a lot, and I'm grateful to be born into the family that I was born to. Because when you have that, you actually have a chance to learn, a chance to explore. I don't know, to be like yourself. But in like sometimes people, especially little kids, are just trying to survive. They don't have the energy. They don't have the time to like
Yeah,
explore yourself, explore the world. They have other like priorities. That's so sad because it's something you can't control and something you can't change because it's happening. It happened, it is happening, and I guess it will happen.
yeah,
It
really
seems
good.
unfair. It seems
Yeah,
unfair.
again, but that's the word we invented, and really is everybody has challenges.
Right, that
And then
is right.
who's gonna say, "Oh, your challenge is harder than my challenge," you know? But
Yeah,
we're lucky. We think, "Hey, we don't have to worry about just having warm clothes or, clothes in a house," you know?
yeah,
Not
that
everybody
is right.
has. That's really heavy. So
I think
uh, can you conjure up your earliest memory ever or one of them?
uh, I will answer that. I just wanted to say that sometimes people say it's easy to say that money is not the most important thing when you have money. So it's kind
Yeah,
of like about the topic. And my earliest memories is the thing with that's different, that's like difficult with that, is just I can really tell which memories I remember and which memories were told uh, like to me, and I picture them, and I just stayed in my mind like that because I
yeah,
always I think at a certain age I started to ask my parents about my childhood, about the people that were involved in my childhood and stuff like that. So they told me a lot, and like mom told me a lot in detail, so I kind of pictured it. For example, I don't know. I think she used to tell me that I wasn't a good sleeper. Like I always had problems with sleep as a baby, and I used to like wake up a lot in the middle of the night and stuff like that. And when my father like was coming from work, I used to wake up maybe to the sound, maybe to the presence of him. And also I used to when it wasn't that dark and it wasn't that like late in the afternoon. I was actually before he like 10 minutes or like 5:15. It was different. And 10 minutes, let's say 10 minutes before he came home from work, I was waiting by the door. Like he didn't give us a sign, or like he didn't give us a call that he was coming. I was just waiting for him, and it wasn't like maybe it was just the biological hours. I didn't know a thing about like time and how it works and clocks and everything. Maybe I just like knew that he was coming home from like every day in that hour, and I kind of felt it because babies are a lot closer, they say, to God, and I think also like to nature and like everything that is natural. Maybe it was that. Maybe I was just feeling the mental connection, because I think there is a mental connection, because sometimes like when I'm outside, when I'm not home, my parents like talk about something, they talk about me, or like how am I doing, what am I doing, and stuff like that, and then I call them, and then they actually tell me like, we just talked about this, we just talked about you, and you've called. Like I remember that. I think I was a baby, like I was walking, but like not like fluently. I don't I know we can say that about walking, stuff like that. I didn't just I haven't found a better word, so I wasn't fluently walking, but I was like a toddler, I'd say. I think that could be the earliest memory. I don't actually know. I think there's like little things, little details of something that I saw, but I'm not sure which time it belongs to and where it was and stuff like that. I think I remember some like something about our home, I guess,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure
That's
like
interesting.
what it
Yeah.
is.
It's interesting because what you described waiting for your dad to come home is like muscle memory. It's almost
Yeah,
like you have ESP because that happens all the time. I was just thinking of you and then someone calls. So it's extrasensory perception. We all have that. It's called like kind of like hunch, or living in a parallel universe, however you want to
maybe.
describe it. But it's not just we live in a surface level where there's something
Yeah,
deeper or wider going on.
because people
Um
don't see everything, don't feel everything that is happening in the nature, like that
that,
was proven by science. And
yeah.
there's a lot of things that is happening that we don't have like any idea of. I think any like at all.
Well, back to that author George Lakoff, he says that we're about 80% operating in a subconscious or unconscious level. Now,
Yeah,
since we started, I would think we're both almost 90% conscious here, but there is stuff happening that we're not totally aware of because we're trying to be aware of each other's, visual and verbal output out of our mouths.
yeah.
So, do you think memory is more a curse or more a blessing?
About the thing you said before, like about the conscious and unconscious thing, I wanted to
Oh, yeah.
say something because I'll forget. It
Yeah.
actually amazes me that most of the communication is happening in a non-verbal way, like the as you
Yeah.
said, or maybe as I read somewhere, like like 80%, I think, of the communications happening non-verbal,
Yeah.
and it always amazed me. Like you put that much thought and that much like effort into the communication, and it's not even the half of it. Like it doesn't like mm, it doesn't depend on it. Blessing or a curse? I think it could be both, but
Yeah.
maybe because I think it's both. Maybe because I was lucky enough. I think it's more of a blessing than it is a curse, because it is always comforting when you know where you've come from and what happened before. Like to be prepared in order to be prepared for the future. Like I'm not saying like completely, just prepared. In the future, you uh, kind of have to know what happened in the past. So I think it's, even if it's not like a positive experience or anything, it is still uh, a good thing to remember what happened before, like in order to, I don't know, be better now, or be better uh, in the future, or I don't know, to
Yeah.
not not only remembering though, taking like something from it, what you've learned from it. Because when you didn't learn something, like didn't like take something, like take some thought or take something from it, you kind of go through it again and again until you get the message that it's trying to get to you.
Really good. Yeah, that's heavy. And I have to go back for a second because the article you wrote, which brought us together,
Yeah,
is
that
like
that one.
yeah, yeah. So that's like McLuhan said that reading the newspaper in the morning and drinking your cup of coffee, reading the newspaper, this ritual is like getting into a warm bath. It's like you're calmed down, and it's something that happens every day, back to muscle memory. It really doesn't matter what the content of the paper is.
Yeah.
You look at the paper, you drink your coffee, and that puts you, so you're really unconscious of the content. You're just going through the ritual, because the news is the same thing every day,
Yeah.
except there aren't that many people who read one book for 28 years. So
It is true. You're
your content's
exceptional.
a little different, but you know what I'm saying. It's that ritual. It's just like the ritual of checking your email or
Yeah.
calling your parents. You say, how are you? Fine, blah 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 blah. But it's that ritual that we go through. So how conscious are we, or how much are we like going through the motions of it? You know?
I think most of the time, as we said in the beginning, like what is the best thing for human beings? I guess.
Yeah,
And then I said
yeah,
like living it, like actually living it, not just existing, not just like being on
yeah,
like autopilot mode.
yeah,
And I think we do that quite a lot. It's just
yeah,
sometimes we just look at the same things we do and we see how good they are and how grateful we are to have that life. But most of the time we're just like, wired to like move on, I guess.
yeah,
And I don't think we put like we pay much like enough attention to
yeah,
probably anything, to be
yeah,
honest. And I think
yeah.
we're really just moving on, just doing the same things every day, and then complaining about the thing that we're doing the same things every day. And um,
Then the complaining becomes the same thing.
yeah, yeah, and then you're always complaining about like the same thing. I but I think you know what about the news, that this like ritual. I think um, before when I saw like my I don't know, I didn't see my dad doing it in the morning. Maybe I didn't get to see it, but I think I saw my grandfather do it like a lot. It was kind of like an image that you could if someone said it to you, you could see that probably in an we probably all like saw it in a same thing. Like it was in
Yeah,
ads, it was in books, it was like in movies and stuff like that. I think uh, it was it uh, at least it seemed peaceful when someone was drinking their coffee and looking at the paper in the newspaper. I think right now people are not like peaceful looking at news. I think they do it like automatically, even when they don't want to. Uh, but they're not. They're always like anxious. I think looking at news, and there's a thing with news that we tend to like more like bad things on the news, like bad things happening and stuff like that. And we kind of don't want to do it, but we still do. And there's actually a meaning to that. It's a name of that thing, but I can't remember the translation of it.
well, it could be like ghetto porn, like pictures of the ghettos that then they become a high art form, and you can like, wow, we're
Yeah.
celebrating
Or
uh war photography is the
yeah,
same way. The
I
whole history of
right.
cinema's 130 years old. It's not very old, and it is just drenched with warfare. And it's like, do you think that brainwashed us to believe that war is the way to resolve conflict? Probably. How
Yeah.
much peace do you see in 130 years of cinema? How much peace do you actually see? You know?
and and the way that violence is showed
Yeah,
with the message that we're showing this so you don't do it, like so you see how bad it is and you don't do it, but it works the I think in a different way. It's kind of like vice versa. As much as it showed, it is done as much as it showed.
yeah. William Blake is this the best. You have to check him out. Uh,
William
B
Blake.
Blake. his line is really the essence of it all. We become what we behold.
Yeah.
So
And
we become what we behold. That's evident, So if you rejoice in eating a strawberry and looking at a flower, then you become that. If you rejoice in, hitting someone, then that's what you become.
yeah, it makes me think about the words that it's like you are what you do and not what you say you do, or like what
Yeah,
you think you do.
yeah.
And also, I like the way war is showed in the 1984, when there's three countries and they're always at war with the one and at peace with another, and it just goes like in a circle. It's never ending, and they're always in a war.
You mean George Orwell's book 1984?
Yep, that's it. That's the one.
Very good. So Camilla, what tell me within you've talked about your parents and even your
Hmm.
grandfather. Tell me someone within your immediate family and then outside your immediate family, just briefly, who had an impact on you, kind of like a role model. And what was that impact?
Mm, I think the first role model I ever had was my mom, because she is an amazing person, and she is, I don't know, the best mom to ever be, I think. And she was always with me when I was a kid. Like, I spent the most of my time with her. Like, we were together 24/7. And like, she had mm, the most influence on me, and I was with her. So I kind of, even if I didn't want to, I'd be like, I'd do the things she did, and um, I I think I'd like the things she liked. And she was like, she's a psychologist, so I think she had her like own method to raise a kid, because
Yeah.
and she did a lot. I don't know. She just she's everything I wanted to be when I was a kid. Then I started to see her as a not like my mom. I think I was one of the kids that thought their mom is a superhero, like she can do anything and she knows everything. But at the same time, I always knew that mom could be wrong too, because she told me that she said that yes, I am your mom, and yes, because I am like a more experienced human being, I like can know better in like what to do in a lot kind of situations, and I want the best for you, but I'm just a human too, and I can be wrong. And she was always ready to like accept the fact that she was wrong, and it was like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that, because I did that because of that and stuff like that. And I always knew that mom was just a human too, and she could be wrong, and she'd tell me when she's wrong. And the same thing worked for me. Like, I could do a mistake, but there's like always a way back, you know. And she like completely like supported me, I think, in everything. Like, she always like answered my questions. I don't know. Of course, she from time to time, I don't know, she got angry or something and stuff like that, just like every like, person does. I think it was my mom. She liked to read. She liked. I don't like everything she likes though. We're kind of different, and I came in terms with that when I was older. When I think I started to spend time with a lot of different people, like my dad first, for example. He used to work really like long hours when I was a kid, and then he got a different job, and we started to spend more time together. I don't know, with my classmates, with my friends, and stuff like that. For example, she loves classical music. I didn't get it after her. I wish I did, but I just maybe I will. Who knows? My role model, like a first role model, is my mom, and from the outside circle, um, I don't know. I think I always liked there were some teachers that I liked. There were some friends that I liked. I don't know. For example, there were some actors or like I don't know, poets, or not really poets because I'm not really into poetry. Like writers and stuff. For example, I really liked Audrey Hepburn when I was a kid, and I still do because I think she's like the kindest person, like the very beautiful person inside and out. But my mom actually
Right.
likes her, for example. She liked her, so it's kind of came from her.
That's a great one, Audrey Hepburn. But that was really interesting. What your mom taught you was to be human.
Yeah.
That's that's real. What really stood out is that it's human to fail and be wrong and admit mistakes. Yeah, that's really good what you said. So, are you an only child?
I'm not. I have a little sister, but I was for a
Older,
lot of time. No, little
older.
sister.
You have a younger sister?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, did your parents raise you a particular religion?
Uh, kind of. It got Islam, so we're like, but it didn't start when I was younger. So the religion in Soviet were kind of prohibited, I guess, looked upon it, and there were not a lot of people who practice it, at least openly. And I know that my grandmother from my father's side did, but my parents didn't like practice it. They did, for example, they practiced it to a certain extent because they got married in a normal way, by law, and also in the mosque. But my father started to actively practice it when I was, I don't know, maybe I don't know, I don't remember exactly. But I was little, but I was at school. I don't know, you know. And from that time, it was like a bigger part of my life than it was before. Than I was a kid. So it's both like yes and it's both no, because like my sister was born into our family when like we all actively practiced it, and I wasn't. For example, it came like along the way as I was growing up.
Do you
But like
pray?
overall, yes. Yeah, I do.
Yeah. If God exists, what would you like God to say to you after you die?
I would want to hear that you can be with your loved ones. Like you can reunite with them. You can be with them.
With your loved ones, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it is wrong because it's kind of you put them before God. Like we
I don't
shouldn't.
I don't think there's any right or wrong. It's
Yeah, that
just
is true.
but it is interesting because you're almost saying it's selfish, but it's like, well, who else would you wanna spend the afterlife with, but your loved
That is
one?
true. That is true. I'm saying that in our religion you have to put God first, and then yourself,
Oh,
and then your loved
I
one, like then your loved ones. So
I see.
I kind of, I don't think I'm there yet. I don't know if I'll
Yeah,
ever be, and it's kind of like scares me because the more you like, the more you're scared to lose something, and the more it is like in danger, kind of thing.
yeah.
So that's why I think it's not kind of like it's not, it could not be right. But as you said, there is no right or wrong.
Well, but we do have a hunch of what is like your mother taught you to be human.
Yeah,
So to be human is kind of a right way, but it means
I
that
think so.
there's both ends of the spectrum. So in other words, my friend said what happens to you after you die is whatever you think happens to you.
I think so. I don't know. Just nobody came back from the dead, So we
When
can't know it for sure. We can't know what will
we
happen when we die till we die. So
right. And then will you know? Will you have consciousness? You know, it's the one of the ultimate questions. But Kamila, I asked for 90 minutes, and this has been the fastest 90 minutes I've had in a long time, and we only got through
I
9
did.
questions, or not,
Oh, for
not
real.
all the questions. So I do want to plan a part 2 if you're so willing. It would be really
I
fun because
am.
I want to get into journalism. I want to get into more philosophical things, and I want to get into your history of just Joyce and the readers and writers you've read growing up. So
I
even
do
though I'm
too.
going
I
to,
am willing.
yeah, yeah, even though I'm going to hit the end broadcast button, I hope this never ends. We can keep talking forever and ever, and we can really get deeper into this. And I would love to propose, let's do a project together where we kind of write something or invent a new genre of writing or something, because I'm always interested in collaborating with people on any kind of art, whether it's poetry, writing, film, music, or whatever. And I'm really excited about just these 2 sessions we've had talking, and I think how you think and feel is what Pascal, the philosopher and mathematician, said, is in order to understand anything, you have to know this end of the spectrum and that end and everything in between. And that's hard to do, to really get a bit. And that's, I
Yes.
think, what you're pursuing with journalism is you want to get the big picture. You don't want to go, oh, here's how it is. This is it. And I'm going to
Mm.
write it up. You want to get a feeling. And that's what McLuhan learned from Finnegan's Wake, is that in between is like a resonating interval. It's like forever a circle, a snake eating its tail, or a Mobius strip. It's forever changing. Or it's like the yin yang sign. So
Yeah.
I would love to sort of explore that resonating interval with you more.
I would like it. I would like to, because I'm really excited about it. Honestly, I'm really happy
Yeah,
you're saying these things and wanting to make something like a project or do project together. I'm really
yeah,
excited for that. I'm all for that.
yeah. I'll send you some proposals, and
All
I'll
right.
send you some dates for part 2, and let's book that. Thank you so much, Kamila.
Thank
Really,
you.
really
Thank you.
special.
Thank you. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thanks for the article too. Hold that up one more time.
Thank
So
you. Okay. I'd
we'll
like
hold that
to. I got
article up.
it.
I hope you win the award. That is so
I
cool.
hope to. I loved it.
even if you even if you didn't want if even if you don't win the award, you won it in our book. Best article on the wake. Thank you.
You really say so.
Oh, it's
Oh,
great. Yeah,
thanks.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Have a good day.